Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a guest, Anna. Anna is a friend of mine all the way from Brazil, but lives in Sweden. And she's also a PhD student. Not only that, Anna is a single mom. So our discussion today is going to be about adjustment, getting to integrate into the system. How much is the system helping not only the single mom, but single immigrants mom? So Anna is gonna explain or tell us her experience, how comparing Brazil, living as a woman in Brazil, living as a single mom in Brazil, compared to Sweden. Also, what motivated her to move to Sweden and to start her PhD in Sweden, and what stereotype that people have about Brazil that she would like to clarify. Also, how do parenting in Sweden differ from that in Brazil? We're also going to discuss about what does a typical day look like for her as a parent who is single mom, and also who is a student, and also who is working, because if you're a PhD, you are also working, and also what messages she would like to give you. So those are pretty much around that topics we're going to be discussing. So how have you been though? If you're bumping onto my channel for the first time, don't hesitate. Go ahead, click on the subscription button below. If you would like to give an advice or some learning process, please do so. Anna is coming in.
Hi.
Hey, Anna. Hey, how are you?
I'm good. What about you?
I'm okay. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for accepting my request to come talk to my people on my channel, actually.
Mhm.
So I'll give you the platform to go ahead and introduce yourself. Who is Anna?
Uh, Thank you very much for the invitation, Joyce. I'm very happy to to be given the platform. So, um, I'm Anna Rodrigues. I'm originally from Brazil, and I live in Sweden now, where I'm doing my PhD research in social anthropology. And my research is about the impacts of climate disasters in Mozambique, especially in the central region of the country. And apart from this, I am also a mother of
Yeah.
a young baby of 1 year, 9 months.
Yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's pretty much about me. I
oh,
hope to be
nice.
able to discuss more.
Absolutely. Anna and I met through kindergarten. Not us. We are not the ones in the kindergarten. But we have kids that are in the same kindergarten. We're friends. So that's how we came to meet. Anna is from Brazil, as she said. Now we have some questions we want to discuss in regards to not only a woman in another country, but as a Brazilian woman. As I can understand, Brazil is fighting really, really much to have equality in general, but it's not a real thing. How does a Brazilian woman navigate the tension between legal rights and living right reality?
Yeah, well, there are many issues, but I think what you said is right. The struggle for equality is still a long way. I think one of the most pressing issues for women in Brazil is definitely the gender-based violence,
Mhm.
still very much prevalent in across all generations. So still find a large number of sexual violence, abuse against women and girls. The rate of femicide is also pretty high. And then this is a general picture that I think it's sometimes sounds bleak, but then there are other aspects that are evolving. And one
Mhm.
of them is there is much more discussion now in society about uh, how masculinity is developing and has developed, and how this debate is actually about the conduct of men as
Mhm.
well in
Mhm.
our society. And I think there's a lot more opening to these discussions now. Recently, a couple of years ago, about a decade ago, the femicide law was passed, and ever since there's been a lot more discussion about it, because I think what the legal framework does is to open a platform for a social discussion as well, and this has definitely happened. And then we come to the part that connects us, the motherhood and the difficulties to integrate, yeah, motherhood with access to work and all
Mhm.
this
Mhm.
issues. That we also see a difference in
Mhm.
terms of, but then it becomes a class difference rather than a gender, so to say.
So to, mhm.
Yeah, whereas although the state has expanded its coverage of daycare, we still see a lot of women in the peripheries of big cities lagging behind in access to work because they don't have enough access to daycare. They cannot leave their children
At the daycare,
at the
so they
daycare.
can spend time at work. Actually,
Yeah,
it's a bit
yeah,
sad to hear about femicide because Kenya is worse. As in,
yeah,
in my opinion, I don't think the government is taking enough action. Especially like if I say about Kenya, we have quite a huge percentage of femicide cases as of today,
yeah,
and gender based violence is quite high. Still until today, and the government doesn't intervene that much. It's very good to hear that the government in Brazil is doing something to support and eradicate these kind of actions. So
yeah.
that's good to hear. Question number two, Anna, is that what motivated you to move to Sweden?
Yeah,
And why
well,
Sweden?
yeah. I came here in 2021, and I
Hmm.
came because I applied for a position, a PhD position, and I was accepted for this position, and that's how I moved here. So yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
you're far away from the family, from your
yeah,
family, and you're a single mom, a PhD student as well, and that's a
yeah,
lot in one bag. It's like too much, too heavy.
yeah.
So, and some other another question. Then now, question number three: what myths are our stereotype about single mothers in Brazil? Do you wish people to stop believing?
Well, yeah. I think first to to explain how most women turn to be single mothers in Brazil,
Hmm.
we still have a culture of um, men leaving the family, unfortunately.
Hmm.
And there are roughly 5 million children in Brazil without the
The
father's name
fathers.
on the birth certificate. Yeah. And I think my situation is very different from that.
Hmm.
I'm a single mother by choice because, well, I decided to have a child at a certain moment in life, and there wasn't a partner around, so that's how I became a mother. But most women are still in Brazil are women become single mothers because they are abandoned by their father. Was also the case of my mom. She was also abandoned by, yeah. But it was a very different situation as
Hmm.
well. But I think if you talk about stereotypes, perhaps the worst stereotype is that women become single mothers because they cannot keep or cultivate a relationship. So that is a bit of a blaming
It's
on
over the
the,
woman.
yeah,
It's
also the
always the
woman,
woman.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome.
And so I think that's probably the worst. And of course, in that culture we're talking about Brazil, that culture, we see that it's not on the women that are yeah, impeding that those families to happen.
Hmm.
It's more on the men that are actually leaving. But that's
Hmm.
one of the things. The other thing is that I would like people to stop believing that um, women are not capable to secure themselves and to educate a child on their own,
Hmm.
because of course it would be better if there were more people involved, but in an absence of that, there are many women doing a very good job in educating their children and setting their children to a bright path.
Hmm. Yeah.
Wish. So yeah, I think those are the two.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure if it's the same with Brazil, because my mom also was a single mom, and she went through a very harsh society uh, stereotyping, which in Kenya, and of course Kenyans will understand and they can comment below. She kept on being labelized as very aggressive, very not easy to tame kind of woman, and a prostitute because you don't have a man.
Mm,
You're raising kids by yourself. How is it possible? Is that also happening in Brazil? Because in Kenya we are like a polygamous society.
mm,
So a man is all allowed to do whatever he wants. He
yeah.
can have as many women as he wants. And by law, actually, we have it in our constitution that they can marry more than one woman. So is it the same with Brazil? Do they do it because the society is a polygamous, or they do it because of the power situation?
I think it's more about the power situation. Polygamy is not allowed in
Hmm.
Brazil
Hmm.
formally, but then of course there are lots of men with different relationships outside the marriage.
Hmm.
But yes, I mean, my mom also was labeled in this way. I think perhaps it's interesting to mention also that my mom, she also lost the support of the family when she fell pregnant, and she didn't fall pregnant because she wanted. It was a situation in which, yeah,
It happens.
it happened.
It does happen.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and abortion is not legal in Brazil. That's also
Hmm.
something,
Yeah.
except for 3 cases, in case that there is risk to the mother's health, that she can actually die from that
Yeah.
pregnancy.
Hmm.
If it's as a consequence of sexual violence, but
Hmm.
then you also have to have the procedures documented, and there are lots of checks to that ended up barring women from being acknowledged as a victim of rape.
Yeah.
And then the other case is quite recent, actually. It has to do with anencephaly.
Hmm.
That is a condition in which the fetus, the baby, cannot live outside the womb. I think the maximum of life expectancy is 12 hours because it doesn't
Hmm.
have the brain.
Yeah.
So, or it doesn't have it well formed, at least. Um, in these 3 conditions. So eventually, well, my mom fell pregnant, and when she found out first, she was desperate. But when the family found out, they also didn't accept her, and she had to go
And find for
basically.
herself and be alone.
Yeah,
Which is the
she had me in a convent. That's
oh,
the Catholic Church at that time used
yeah.
to have these houses for women in those situations, but most of them were also in the same situation as my mom, but some were sex workers who would fall pregnant and wouldn't be able to work in the streets anymore.
Mm,
So
mm,
yeah, that's how I was born. And then after uh, being born in that place, you could leave the child for adoption, or you could leave with the
with the
child.
child.
In
Mm,
that case, my mom preferred to live with me, but then she
mm,
had nowhere else to go. Um, this is just to give a bit of a background of how women fall into a situation of extreme vulnerability if the family is not
It's
supporting.
not participating into the
Yeah,
process of pregnancy.
yeah, because
That's
I mean, you can't expect this from our state. Our state is not as generous as the places that can provide you housing and this
yeah.
kind of support.
Hmm. But another question, the fourth question is, what would you say are different parenting between Sweden and Brazil, and especially as a single mom, uh, comparing your mom's situation and your situation, because it's like you two are actually good example. She lived as a single mom in Brazil. You're
Mm.
living as a single mom in Sweden. What are the differences? What would you say are the differences? And when it comes to the society and also people around you and also the system included.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest difference is the institutional support that we
Mhm,
have here in Sweden compared to Brazil. Institutional support is very little,
mhm.
which means that in Brazil, people depend more on the families
Yeah.
to help with the care. If the mother has to go back to work, like our parental leave in Brazil is 4 months
Mhm,
for women. So
mhm.
after 4 months, if the mother needs to go back to work, uh, most likely the family will take care of the child, uh, because we don't have as many daycare as I mentioned before.
As
We
the,
don't have as
yeah.
as
Mhm,
as in other places, as in here in Sweden. So um, okay, so between 0 and 4 years old, that is the situation. After 4 years old, the education is compulsory, so the child will have a place in school for sure. Then
mhm,
it's probably more secure. But if I compare these two experiences and what it would be to have a child by myself in Brazil,
mhm,
I think it would be very difficult. Also
mhm,
because we are a small family. It's just my mom and I,
mhm.
and my mom also works. So it would be very unpractical to have a child for this
I can
period,
imagine. Mhm,
uh, which would demand from me to have to pay daycare because we have private institutions for that, but they're also very expensive.
mhm.
So it becomes a bit of um, a situation in which the institutional support makes a big difference, even in when you think about the decision of having a child of your own by yourself. Um, I think I would have I would have refrained from
From
doing it in
being
Brazil.
being a
Yeah,
parent, a single parent in Brazil. So it means
yeah,
that and everything is up to the hand of a mother. You decide what's going to happen now and tomorrow for your kid and you as a parent, pretty
yeah,
much. So there's the system or the government, let's say, put it that way, doesn't it's not rooted all down to the lower level of what mothers would wish to have and continue living as normal, which is hard. I kind of
yeah,
like when I compare this Swedish system with the Kenyan one. I think it's better here. It's more softer in Sweden. They give you lineage. So as a parent, as a parent myself, of course, I have a partner, but I think some things you will have to talk as a mom because you have more time with your kids. You're emotionally connected, and you're the one who is going through the changes in life. So I think the system here favors helps women more than if I say in Kenya, for example. In
yeah,
Kenya, if you have a partner, you're still single
yeah, yeah,
in a way.
yeah,
You're still a single mom in a way, so
yeah.
it's really good to hear the differences when it comes to system. At number five, the question number five is what does a typical day look like balancing research, parenting, and personal time?
Yeah. Well, the first thing perhaps I should say is that I have very little personal time. There's very little left after the brush. So she wakes up around 7 o'clock. So we prepare. We normally need around 2 hours to for both of us to prepare, and that's the morning rush. And then I drop her at the daycare,
Mm-hmm.
and then I go to work, either to the office.
Mm-hmm.
It's, when I'm on time, I get there around 9:35, 9:40. Uh, but then sometimes I work from home,
Mm-hmm.
and then I come back and do the work until more or less for something. And if I'm home, I have to prepare, do some minor preparations of for dinner, and then I go fetch her, and then 5 o'clock she's back. We have dinner. Uh, uh, I play with her for 1 hour more or less, and then it's bath time, and then put her to bed, and that's how it ends. And then after everything is done, I have
Then you have
one or
some more
two
time.
hours
Yeah.
to do something for myself in the evening, and
Mm-hmm.
then I usually, well, I do some more work when I still have the mind to it. Sometimes I read a book as well. But I like this time because it's when I have these 2 hours of silence and rest.
Yeah.
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 But
I
I
think.
have to be I have to be very strict with time, especially like preparing food beforehand. I usually cook one single time during the weekend. Then I
Mm-hmm.
freeze everything, and then
Mm.
I still have home cooked food for
No.
for, for the week.
Mm-hmm.
And what is left to do is just some small things here and there, a salad or something.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you have to be like on a specific radar. You cannot
yeah,
miss anything. You cannot miss a time. Little
yeah,
30, 20 minutes is very important for you. You
yeah,
say you do research about Mozambique, which is quite interesting from what
yeah.
conversation we've had. Would you
Yeah.
like touch a little bit on your interest in this research? Like, what exactly and why was Mozambique your choice? I know that Mozambique is they speak Portuguese. It's a
Mm,
Portuguese colony, so that
mm,
was one of them. But what was the other thing that you chose Mozambique for?
yeah. Well, the first is because I had been researching Mozambique for the last 10 years. I had some gaps in between, but the first work that I did there was 10 years ago, and then I did some other work in between. And so
Mhm,
that's how it came. So I had some expertise in that country, in that context. But then also the project here was about Mozambique from the very beginning. But it
mhm,
was about the north part of the country where there's been some investment in gas, and most of my previous work was related to this issues of displacement for large scale investments.
mhm,
And so it was very fitting when they
mhm.
selected me.
Yeah.
But then there were the conflict in the north worsened in the years that followed, in a way that they gave me some freedom to choose other issue that I thought was also relevant. And there's been a lot of disasters in the central region because of tropical cyclones and tropical storms, and this of course had led many people to lose their livelihoods, lose their homes. And so I thought this was a very relevant thing to research, and there
Mhm,
was not so much people doing it. So I thought, oh, okay, this is something I can do. And then the part that I had to do field work, it was about 10 months that I spent there. I already did that part, so now I'm just focusing on writing
finding
the
the
thesis.
giving the
Yeah,
results. Okay,
yeah,
that's interesting. Actually,
yeah.
she's doing a very good research on Mozambique,
Mm.
and I don't think I've ever met somebody from Mozambique. Maybe you're the closest person I've come across that has been to Mozambique. So,
Yeah.
my question number six: do you feel that Swedish policies support single moms when it comes to education? Like in your case?
Yes, I do.
Mm,
Because uh, for instance, the fact that there is daycare and that you
Mhm.
have a right to daycare, and that you have some time during the day you can choose the schedule,
Yeah,
uh, and that you can focus focus on either work or studies, and then on top of that, for people who are studying, there's also study support. The You actually get some money to
financial
support yourself.
support. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not my case. I'm not in that type of situation, but some
The
people who
CSN.
are, yeah,
Hmm.
some people who would do masters, for example. I think it's eligible for CSN, and then the fact that you can have someone to stay with your child, and that is an institution, and that's not someone can
A
who
random
you
person.
might,
Yeah.
yeah, a
Hmm.
random person that you might not trust, or something like that.
Mm.
uh, I think it gives some space for yourself, and some peace of mind to focus on your studies. Is, of course,
Mm.
uh, not as it would be if you perhaps didn't have a child, because then all your attention is concentrated on your studies and so. But I think you can get to a very high level of dedication if you have
If you're
this kind of
dedicated.
yeah,
Mm.
if you have this kind of support as well, which I think it should be interesting for the countries to look into this kind of policies, because it increases the participation of women in the labor market. And of course, it will be interesting for all countries to have as much of a pool of talents as possible. So having women participating in the labor market is good for economy, is good for society. Um,
Mhm. I also think that it will clear the fear of women getting stuck after having babies, because most countries they don't have such a system that you were done with this step, you can still continue, and we will help you to do that. So I think the system is really good. And at number
mm,
7, I have a question number 7, which is my last question to you
mm.
is what message would you share with other single moms considering higher education abroad?
Um, yeah. Uh, I think it's good to if you're considering, if you have all the options, all right? Because I don't know what options are possible for different people. But if you have all options, I think it would be good to.
Sorry, I lost you. I
Um,
lost you a little
uh,
bit. You went off a little bit for like a couple of seconds. So you went.
is it still?
Yeah, now you're okay. Now you're
Oh,
back.
okay. Yeah, it is also good to consider a country that is good for the child to be in, where
Yes.
you have institutional support, and that you have a culture where the child can feel welcomed. It's sometimes very difficult to move abroad, and to find your child in a position that uh, it will be isolated in school, or you'll be very difficult to accommodate with the language barriers and so. And I think here in Sweden they try their best to accommodate the differences
Mhm.
from other people that I've heard who moved here with children already. Because mine was born here, but some other people who move with children, uh, they say that the teachers do their best to communicate with the child
Yeah.
uh, in a different language. So I think it's something that for a single mother, especially single mothers considering moving abroad, pursuing education, it's very important to have this support so you can focus on your studies and
Understandings. Mhm.
do your best.
Yeah,
Yeah,
great. That
yeah,
was really, really nice and kind of you to share your experience as a single mom and as a Brazilian woman. So the
yeah.
last thing is, I want you to send a message to your ladies in Brazil. What do you want
Yeah.
to tell them?
Oh,
In Portuguese, so I will not understand. But yeah.
ok. Eu gostaria de dizer a todas as mulheres brasileiras que sim, nós podemos fazer a diferença, nós podemos ser excelentes profissionais, ser excelentes mães, nós essas 2 coisas não são, antagônicas e, as oportunidades a gente tem que correr atrás delas, não é? Um abraço.
That was nice. It sounds really nice. I really
Yeah,
love Portuguese, and
yeah,
one day I will get to learn it through you. So thank you
yeah.
so much for your time and your kind words and your inspiration. And hopefully, one or two or three women out there will get it. And if they were stuck, they will understand that they can as well pick themselves up and move forward. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Joyce, for the invitation,
Thank
and
you so much.